I got to spend over 9 hours playing WWE 2K25, but before you get too excited, this was the most limited build that I got to play. There is no MyRise, no GM, no Bloodline Rules match, no Island, no Creation Suite, no Universe mode. What we did get to play, we had 26 superstars, a few standard match types, new backstage areas, showcase mode, the underground match, which I can't talk about until Saturday. I saw entrances, gameplay changes, chain wrestling, a new third-person camera, which I absolutely love by the way, and the return of intergender matches, and not just in single matches, you can do it in most matches, including a intergender Royal Rumble. So with all that being said, is WWE 2K25 shaping up to be a game changer? Well, let me break it down. So let's start with the 26 superstars that I got to play with. They were Alpha from the Wild Samoas, Alundra Blaze, 95, Bianca Belair, Bubba Ray Dudley, Devon Dudley, Dirty Dominic Mysterio, Ethan Page, Jacob Fatu, Jade Cargill, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, Kalani Jordan, LA Knight, yeah, Liv Morgan, Lyra Valkyria, 2024 model, Naomi, Natalya, Nia Jax, Rhea Ripley, the final boss, The Rock, Roman Reigns 2022 model, Seth Rollins 2022 model, Sika from the Wild Samoas, Sol Ruka, Solo Sikoa, Xavier Woods, and Captain Lou Albano, who was a manager for the Wild Samoans. This year's game sees the return of chain wrestling not seen since 2K19. To initiate chain wrestling, all you need to do is press B or circle to lock up with your opponent, and from there you can have options to switch, drive, or attack. Use the left stick or L3 to decide which action you want to take. Then you will fight over the advantage by finding the sweet spot and continuing until one of you gains the advantage. At any time, the person applying the hold can use X or square button to attack and stop the reversal attempt. You can use drive, which will drive your opponent into the turnbuckle or the ropes. From there, the referee will attempt to break it up and you can choose to play dirty or not. When you press the attack command, you will simply throw your opponent to the ground, and wrenching is applying obviously pressure to the hold. I found that the longest I think I got out of this was about 3 minutes of back and forth chain wrestling between Roman and Rock, which is a great way to start the match. And that's the only time that you can do chain wrestling, at the beginning of the match. Super Finishers makes its return to WWE 2K25 with superstars like Solo Sikoa having the stabbing Samoan Spike, Jade Cargill with Avalanche Jaded, Rhea Ripley with the Avalanche Riptide, Natty with the Pin-Up Strong, and Seth Rollins with the Springboard Stomp and the Super Stomp. In this build of the game, I didn't see any new super finishers, so I'm not saying that there isn't any new ones, but in this build there was none. Oh, there's also this new sound effect, if you want to call it that plays whilst the super finisher is happening. I'll play it to you now. We see new and welcomed mechanics like Barricade Diving. This is pretty fun. You can literally climb up on the barricade. You can climb up on the barricade using the R1 button or the RB button, and from there you can dive into your opponents whether they are laid out on the floor or whether they're standing up. You can also walk across the barricade as well. Not only is Barricade Diving available here in ring, but actually if you go backstage and you're in like the NXT Parking Lot as an example, you can use the Barricade Diving commands there too by simply climbing up, running backwards and forwards, and then jumping off. And that can also be applied in the WWE Archives Backstage bit as well, on the guardrails. But we'll come on to that later. New to this year is LED board damage. So you can actually throw your opponent into the LED boards and it will actually show physical signs of damage to the board, which looks absolutely sick. But in this build of the game, it was a bit inconsistent. So when you throw someone into the barricade, it would damage, and then you throw them into the same part of the barricade, and then the damage would switch damage positions, and it wouldn't get progressively worse, it would just change, which I thought was a bit odd. You would make the assumption that throwing them multiple times into the LED board, then the LED board will probably just break and go black. This is something that will probably be fixed by the time the game comes out, but I just thought it was a bit weird seeing it in this. But I did like it at the same time. And this probably sounds a bit crazy, but one of my favorite things that they put in from a gameplay point of view is the third person camera. Now you may have seen already that you can trigger the third person camera inside of entrances, but if you go into the options where you would normally toggle for the ringside cam or the stage cam, you can now choose a new third-person camera. And I don't know what it is about this camera, but it just changes the way I like to play the game. So once I finally figured out how to do this, I didn't like to turn it off. The closest thing I can like compare this to is if anyone's ever played Grand Theft Auto, you know, it's kind of like that third-person camera and you're walking around the city and doing what you want to do. That's the kind of vibe I got when I was playing this in the third-person camera mode. And low-key, I hope that's the kind of vibe that we're going to get in the island mode, because that's what this third camera mode was built for. The island. Not that I'm saying GTA should be like the island or the island should be like GTA, but hey, let's get that crossover. It is important to note that in the third person camera mode, you need to be able to use the right analog stick or the R3 stick to control the camera. So because of that, things have been remapped to adjust to that. What do I mean? So as an example, you'd push up on the R3 or the right analog stick to pick an opponent up, and you'd push down to do a pinfall. Well, however, if you have this third person camera mode on, what you would do now is you would hold R2 or RT and push up to pick up your opponent or push down to do the pinfall. And believe me, at first I thought, oh, this is a bit complicated, but literally after like a couple of minutes, it became second nature. And I found in the last couple of hours of me recording on these sessions, I kept it in third person mode. It just felt new and it felt different and it felt fun. And with the modifiers in place, so you can still control the camera as well as use the R3 stick to do things like picking up and pinfalls, I actually really enjoyed this. Moving on to intergender matches, and this is great. This is generally really fun, and the first time I did one was in a 10-person Royal Rumble, and it was so good. I had Kalani Jordan doing reverse Ranas to The Rock. It is so fun to have intergender wrestling back in WWE 2K, and it's not limited to one-on-one. Like I said, we had a 10-person Royal Rumble. You can use them in the underground matches. You can use them in the Backstage Brawl matches. You can pretty much use them in any mode. Well, the modes I got to test anyway. The devs did confirm, however, that you would not be able to initiate blood or do body damage like bruising in the intergender matches. But with that being said, you can still do your fantasy matchups like Dirty Dominic Mysterio versus Rhea Ripley and have Dominic Mysterio get his revenge once and for all. Or if you want The Rock and Nia Jax to go at it, they can do that too. Honestly, just having this back is great. I don't know why it was removed in the first place, but hey, it is back and it is amazing. We seem to have a new reworked submission system, so where you're chasing each other's like area, ring, or whatever you want to call it, and then you fill up a meter and a bar. We've seen it in the past, but it is back now, and it is implemented in a slightly different way. Outside of everything I've mentioned, I didn't really notice anything different else about the gameplay, so it pretty much still feels like WWE 2K24 with a few more additions. Showcase mode is back, and from what I played, it is better than it has been in the past few years. Gone are the days of the slingshot technology bouncing you back from real life to gameplay to real life to gameplay and blur this and blur that. It is now all gameplay. Paul Heyman does the presenting of the Bloodline Dynasty, which is what this showcase mode is focused on, and then it goes straight into entrances. Yes, that's right, Showcase finally has entrances, then straight into gameplay with none of that silly copyrighted music that was always playing over the top of every single showcase match, or at least not in this build anyway, and then post-match shenanigans. And that is as smooth as it gets, and it just feels so much better. So thank you 2K for going ahead and answering what the fans wanted. In this mode, we get to relive history in our first match, which is Nia Jax versus Lyra Valkyria at the King and Queen of the Ring 2024. This is the Queen of the Ring final between Nia and Lyra, where Nia wins the match, and that's how this match plays out. Then we get to change history when it's Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns from the Royal Rumble of 2022. This is obviously the match where Roman Reigns gets himself disqualified by holding on to that guillotine a little bit too long and getting DQ'd, keeping his Universal title, but Seth Rollins getting the victory. However, in this showcase match, that doesn't happen this time around. Roman Reigns actually breaks his guillotine and goes on to beat Seth Rollins. So you change history. And then you get to create history in the third match that we got to play, which is the Wild Samoas versus the Dudley Boys, which obviously didn't happen in real life. This is a fantasy match, and that's the structure that this Bloodlines Dynasty showcase will follow. Your standard showcase things happens like normal. You'll follow the objectives. When you complete objectives, it normally leads to you unlocking rewards. This time around, I saw a few timed objectives. So as an example, in the Nia Jax match, you had to hit 2 Samoan drops within 60 seconds. And then in the Roman Reigns one, you had to hit a spear on the outside in like 60 seconds, I think it was. So it looks like they're trying to change things up a little bit, which I like because I want them to keep it fresh. Now let's transition things backstage to some really good stuff that I really liked. The NXT Parking Lot, the most dangerous place within professional wrestling, is in the game. This is a massive open space with lots to do in here. You can do car park barricade diving, I hinted at earlier, where we can walk the barricade and dive onto both downed and standing opponents. There's ambulance in there, and you can do the exact same things you would normally do within an ambulance match, including throwing them into the back and shutting both doors. They eventually just come back out, but you can still do the great things you did in the ambulance match in this as well. There's cars which you can throw people into, and you can use the boot, or to my American viewers, the trunk, to trap someone's hand in there. But apart from that, a little bit limited when it comes to the cars. I was hoping for a bit more. You can climb on top of them and jump off, but you both can't climb up there to do moves on top of the cars, which I would have liked to have happened. Both you climb on and you do like a power bomb and, I don't know, put someone through the car. I'd have liked to have seen that. When I tried to play it, you couldn't do anything like that. A bit further down, you have the scaffolding and the glass spot, and this generally blew my mind. You could legit go on top of the scaffolding, and below is a plane of glass with 4 steel chairs underneath it, keeping it up, and you can literally throw people through the glass. It's an insane moment that I didn't think we'd see, though we have got light tubes in last year, but to see glass and seeing it shatter everywhere was really, really cool. And as fun as it was, I feel like there's some missed opportunities when it comes to this area. As you can see, there are many doors and there's a big shutter, and none of that is interactive. You can throw them into it, but that's it. When you throw them into the glass doors, the glass does shatter a little bit, but again, that's it. Well, you can break the glass. What you can't do is like open the doors and this, that. It's good. I think there just could be a little bit more. When you throw them into the shutter, they hit the shutter, and then that's it. I remember back in, I think it was on the SmackDown vs. Raw, maybe Here Comes the Pain games, where you throw them into the shutter and you could then pick them up and slam it down onto them. I don't like something like that, a bit more interactivity. I feel like that's what's missing from this mode. But I really did enjoy playing in the NXT Parking Lot. It was really fun. Oh, and there was this door that was stacked up against the dumpster bin, and you couldn't, for some reason, move the door or use the dumpster bin or pick up the door or anything like that. It was very odd. Maybe that'll be fixed by the time the game comes out. It was just very weird. But the area was fun. I just wish it was a bit more interactive with the environment. And then we go to what I probably spent the most time in, which was the WWE Archives. Yes, that is right. You can actually wrestle in the warehouse for the archives of WWE. And listen, if you are a long time lover of WWE, this is the ultimate Easter egg hunt for you. This area is incredible with Easter eggs everywhere, including the SmackDown fist that, yes, you can climb on top of, and yes, you can jump off it, and yes, you can brawl on it, and yes, you can throw people off it.
Getting carried to a vulnerable position here. Jacob Fatu sending a clear message here. Flying. Splash.
It is great. There's many shelving units that you can throw people into and get lots of weapons. You can climb on top of WrestleMania signs and jump off and throw people off. There is a ring there as well, which kind of hints to the underground. Again, I can't really talk about it, but it plays pretty similar to how the underground works. You can throw people into the post, throw people out the ring, throw people back into the ring. Again, a really fun environment with lots of Easter eggs. So when you get the game, go around and have a look. I found 60. I know there's probably going to be a hell of a lot more than 60 Easter eggs, and I will do a later video for that, to go through what I found before the game comes out. It is literally like fighting inside of a museum, and I actually really enjoyed it and spend most of my time in here. Oh, I do wish they did more with Austin's truck. Austin's truck is there and you can throw him into it, but nothing really happens. Now, overall, when it comes to the presentation, I think the game does look really good and absolutely looks beautiful. Some of the lighting has been improved, and you'll see in some of the entrances, especially The Rock, the final boss, has his final boss entrance in the game, and it looks absolutely incredible. And I must have looked at it and watched it about 15 times before I left. He has his theme, he has his Titantron, he has the walk, he has just everything, and it looks incredible. Even down to Seth Rollins and his Shield entrance. He has a Shield entrance, but it's the Visionary Shield entrance, very similar to what he did in the Royal Rumble 22. So the Sokoa looks great. It looks like a moody child walking to the ring. It's fantastic. And obviously when it comes to these entrances, the new third-person camera really brings a whole new effect to this. Walking down the ring with the camera behind Roman Reigns is just really cool. Or right up in front of The Rock, or right in front of anybody. It makes it give a whole new perspective, and that's what they're going to use for the island. Now, I did really enjoy the time I got to play with the game, and I think it could be a very good game. However, we didn't talk about some things I did not like. Again, from a gameplay aspect, the chain wrestling is a fantastic addition. Aside from that, not much else has changed. They just brought back a feature that they took away for whatever reason that they decided to take it away, then brought it back. Silly things still happen. As an example, clashes still happen. So like the Irish whip and you'll run into each other. Yeah, that still happens, and it still happens quite frequently.
I'm not saying the gameplay needs a massive overhaul, but think of it like a smartphone upgrade. Every year, these manufacturers release smartphones every year. And yet there's always only the smallest upgrades. That's similar to this.
Some of the superstars models looks questionable, and I mean really questionable. Take Natalya as an example. To Natalya, this is what she looks like. However, in WWE 2K25, she looks absolutely awful. Entrance animations are very hit and miss. The Rock's entrance is fantastic, but you look at Jey Uso as an example. He has the same entrance animation as he did last year. And you're probably thinking, Ben, why does Jey need a new entrance? I'm not necessarily saying he needs a new entrance, but you've seen Jey's entrance on WWE TV. There's so much life, there's so much emotion, but in this one, it just feels a bit flat because it's exactly the same as the one last year. The crowd aren't even in sync to Jey Uso's yeeting. Jey Uso isn't even yeeting anywhere near as much as it does on TV. Jey Uso's own yeeting isn't even in time with his music. And then we have entrances like Xavier Woods, who still comes out with the trombone, and it's like, I can't even remember the last time Xavier Woods came out with the trombone. So why has he still got that trombone? It makes me worried that not many more entrances have got updated this year. Like Seth Rollins, I hope Seth Rollins has an updated entrance for his current model, because he's had the exact same one. And Seth has done so many outlandish entrances that he should not have the same entrance this year. And when we're talking about entrances, as much as I can't talk about the underground mode right now, I'm going to preempt you that underground entrances are, let's just say, similar to the Elimination Chamber entrances, and not really in a good way. More on that on Saturday. Another issue is, why are title belts not looking as great as they are? 2K shared a video literally hours ago of The Rock's entrance with his final boss and the People Championship belt, and it looks great. Yet some of these championships here still do not look good at all. Yet people within the modding community can make these belts look fantastic. It's something small, but it's one of them things that shouldn't be that way. Another big gripe that I have with the build that I played, and I pray is not the case when we get the final game. Why is Byron Saxton still on commentary? We have literally not had Michael Cole, Corey Graves, Byron Saxton do commentary together since, I don't know, or at least Byron Saxton since late 2022. Late 2022. Yet we're about to release WWE 2K25, and still on commentary is Byron Saxton, Corey Graves, and Michael Cole. Where is Michael and Pat McAfee? Where's Wade Barrett and Michael Cole? Where's Wade Barrett and Corey Graves? I don't understand why and how Byron Saxton, or the three-man booth that has been on this game for what feels like a decade, why they are still doing the commentary. This is something that needs sorting, and if it's not going to be this game, we can't get to WWE 2K26 and still have Byron Saxton at the commentary desk. It just doesn't feel right. Another issue I had, and this is probably me nitpicking now, but arenas. I don't understand the arena thing. Why can we not get corner arenas? WWE and their PLEs, especially things like the Royal Rumble, things like SummerSlam, they all have these corner arenas, and then we play them, and it's just not the same. I mean, yeah, that probably means you're gonna have to have corner entrances, yet you'll get to things like, I don't know, the Royal Rumble arena or the SummerSlam arena, and yet you've always got the front facing thing. It's never the corner arena. Every arena is set up exactly the same way, and I thought maybe we'd start getting to the stage where different kind of arenas would get incorporated, but again, nothing like that has been in this game, or at least this build that I've played.
And a quick one whilst we're on the topic of arenas, Titantrons appearing on the LED boards the Tron sets, it still looks awful in my opinion. You know, take this Roman Reigns entrance as an example. His graphics just do not appear properly on the Tron set, and this has been the same for a good few years now, I think. Again, I thought it's something that'd be addressed. But I asked a question at the beginning of this video, is WWE 2K25 gonna be game changing? Not yet. Not from what I played. The game does not feel like a massive step forward, but that's because I didn't get to play any of the big new modes that they are talking about. The Bloodline Rules match, no testing of that, no testing of MyGM, no testing of Universe mode, no Creation Suite, and no The Island. And I think that's a big thing where it's like, I'm trying to get excited for WWE 2K25, and I want to be excited for WWE 2K25 because I did enjoy what I played. Now keep in mind, again, this was a very limited build of WWE 2K25. So everything I've listed, everything that I've said I'm not happy about, these things can change in the final game. I just want to stress that one more time, so I know what the comment section are going to be like. Now, what do you think of the game so far? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe. On Saturday, we are going to be talking about the Underground match, which admittedly I did have a bit of fun with. And I'll be live on Sunday to give a more in-depth look with the 7.5 hours worth of footage that I've got, going through everything that I have got. Thank you for watching this video. I've been Money Benjamin, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye now.